Now, if you weren't digging long division, I don't blame you. I don't really like it either. So let's look at synthetic division, which I prefer. The downside to synthetic division is if you have a value in front of, say, like you're dividing by 2x minus 3, you're going to end up with fractions. That's why long division is sometimes better. But let me show you a couple of examples where synthetic division would be amazing. So let's take a look at how to divide with synthetic division. What I would point out to you is that I'm only going to use synthetic division when I have a 1 in front of my x. And essentially what we're going to do is we're going to focus on the coefficients. That is the numbers in front of x cubed, x squared, x, etc. What I'm going to do is I'm simply going to list them in a row. So I'm going to start with positive 1, then negative 13, then positive 46, then negative 49. I'm going to leave one row of space beneath it. To the left, what I'm going to do is I'm going to take x minus 8 and set it equal to 0, which we're very familiar with doing. And that's the number that's going to go over here sort of by itself, because that's the number that we're going to use to divide. And the last thing before I really begin this is I'm going to put another box down here, because whatever happens down here will be the remainder. So let's take a look. Anything that happens above the line in this row, we're going to add. Anything that happens below the line, we're going to multiply. The very first step is always to bring the first term straight down. So 1 comes straight down. It's below the line, so I multiply it. And when I multiply it, I'm always using this number. So 1 times 8 is 8. 8 is above the line, so I'm going to take negative 13 plus 8, which gives me negative 5. Negative 5 is below the line, so I'm going to multiply by 8, which gives me negative 40. 46 plus negative 40 is positive 6. 6 is below the line, so I'm going to multiply by 8, which gives me 48. Negative 49 plus 48 is negative 1, so that's my remainder. So that's all well and good. I've followed a process, but what does that answer mean? Well, what that answer means is I'm going to start 1 degree below 3. So this means 1x squared. This is 1 degree less than that, so minus 5x. This is 1 degree less than that, so that's plus 6. This guy is the remainder, so I'm going to write minus 1 divided by x minus 8. So this was way easier than the way that we did this before. And essentially what I've done is I've said this guy can be rewritten as x squared minus 5x plus 6 minus 1 over x minus 8 times x minus 8. Because if I multiplied that back out, which of course I wouldn't want to do, I would end up back here where I started. The only thing I did not point out on this example, and it's very important, is once you start with whatever your highest degree is, so this represented x to the third, I need something for every place below that. So every degree below that. So notice I had a degree of 3 and 2 and 1 and 0. So if I were to do this question and let's say this 46x wasn't there, then I would have to replace 46 with 0, which I believe you'll have to do on your next example. Here's one for you to try, but before you get started, just a reminder, I would use 1 for x to the 5th, negative 3 for x to the 4th, but notice I don't have an x to the 3rd, so I have to put a 0, and I don't have an x squared, so I have to put a 0. And then I have an x to the 1st, so that's 12x, and then I have, oops, just 12, and then I've got negative 33. And if you'll notice, these are the same questions we did in the last video with long division, so we should already know the answers to these. Then I'm going to put positive 3 in the box, because I would have taken x minus 3 equal to 0 to get x equals 3. So I want you to press pause from here, Finish this question, find your solution, and then press play to see how you did. Again, first thing I would do is bring down the 1. Below the line I multiply, so I'm multiplying by 3. 1 times 3 is 3. Add those together to get 0. 0 times 3 is 0. Add those together to get 0. 0 times 3 is 0. Add those together to get 0. 0 times 3 is 0. Add those together to get 12. 3 times 12 is 36. Add those together to get 3. How do I find my answer from there? I start, this is x to the 4th, this is x to the 3rd, x squared, x, and then constant and remainder. So it's x to the 4th, or 1x to the 4th if you want to put the 1 in front, plus 12 plus 3 over x minus 3, which is hopefully the same exact answer we had on our last video.